Hello friends, today I am going to discuss the effective communication as part of interpersonal skill. And in this discussion, I'll share with you some of the important tips that can make you a very good speaker. Communication skills are more important than ever for all fields of endeavor. Whether you are an engineer or a communication scholar, having a firm grasp of communication skill undoubtedly be a key role in your success. Oftentimes, people with great technical skills reach a point in their careers where they are no longer promoted because of their inability to communicate effectively. Professors often tell anecdotal stories about students that have been hugely successful in gaining jobs right out of college, but then struggle to get promoted into management and leadership roles beyond their technical duties. This is because they were lacking in one fundamental skills that would have helped them shine above all their competition. That is communication. In fact, according to a Job Outlook 2011 survey conducted by National Association of Colleges and Employment, that is NAC, verbal communication is the most sought after skill by the employers. Good and effective communication is an essential tool in achieving productivity and maintaining a strong, lasting working relationship at all levels of an organization. Employers who invest time and energy into delivering clear lines of communication will rapidly build trust amongst employees, leading to increases in productivity, output, and morale in general. Poor communication in the workplace due to personal reasons or a lack of sufficient technology will inevitably lead to unmotivated, ill-informed staff that may begin to question confidence in their abilities and eventually the organization as a whole. Now, there are certain steps to improve communication. As I said that in the present era, communication has become very, very important. So, what are these steps? So, there are a number of things that businesses can do to build on communication within their offices, such as supplying the correct technology. Staff needs to be able to communicate swiftly and coherently both in and out of the office, or encouraging managers to communicate effectively with their teams. What is the right technology for effective communication? There are a number of tools that businesses can use to promote effective communication in the office when sitting down in a room together is not possible. Email, that is also a way to communicate. Communicating through email is a great way to track communications and keep relevant people in the loop. Even though many businesses operate through email, it is important to teach, oneself or yourself the value of this tool, especially in this globalization period. Email applications often act as the tool that ties businesses together with comprehensive meeting calendars, address books, and organizational function at the fingertips of your team members. Direct messaging. Email can be a great way to discuss wider projects, but to make it easier for your employees to have fast conversation throughout the day. Give them access to direct messaging tools such as Same Time or Skype. These tools give them the ability to have real-time conversations without waiting for email replies. Video conversation is also a very important part of communication. It gives the opportunity to have face-to-face conversations with teams from other offices and even overseas. Video conversations encourage effective collaboration and allow your staff to get to know each other better rather than being a voice at the end of the phone. Human conversation is equally important part of communication, and this may seem obvious, but with the tools ever being so readily available in the workforce today, people can sometimes forget to have normal conversation with each other and prefer to send an email instead. Encourage your team to get up and speak to one another when they can. The email confirmation can always come afterwards if it is needed. So this is the time to know what is communication. What is the suitable definition of communication? So it is nearly impossible to go through a day without the use of communication. Communication is sending and receiving information between two or more people. The person sending the message is referred to as the sender, while the person receiving the information is called the receiver. The information conveyed can include facts, ideas, concepts, opinion, beliefs, attitude, instructions, and even emotions. Effective communication skills are fundamental to success in many aspects of life. Many jobs require strong communication skills. People with good communication skills also usually enjoy better interpersonal relationship with friends and family. Effective communication is therefore a key interpersonal skill, and learning how to improve your communication has many benefits. However, many people find it difficult to know where to start. Now, here we can discuss the most common problem areas while we discuss communication, and we may come out certain attention that may give you some idea for better communication. Well, identifying problems. If you are not a good communicator, it is equally important to identify the problems. Many people appreciate that they have a problem with communication skills, but struggle to know where to start to improve. There are a number of ways that one can identify particular problem areas, including ask your friends, family, colleagues to advise you regarding your communication. Most people will be happy to help you with your journey towards self-improvement. They may even have been waiting for just this opportunity for some time. Use a self-assessment tool like interpersonal skills self-assessment. Such kind of consideration will help you to identify the most important areas for improvement. You could instead simply work to improve the most common problem areas and see what happens. Now, according to me, there are 4 key areas for improvement when we talk of communication. There are generally 4 main areas of communication skills that most of us would do well to improve. These are listening, non-verbal communication, emotional awareness, and management and questioning. Well, these are the 4 areas where you can make certain improvement to be a better communicator. The first is learn to listen. Very important part. One of the most common areas to need improvement is listening. We all have a tendency to forget that communication is a two-way process. We fall into the trap of broadcasting, where we just issue a message and fail to listen to the response. Quite a lot of the time, we are not really listening to others in conversation, but thinking about what we plan to say next. Improving your listening skills is likely to pay off in improvements in your relationship both at work and at home. What, however, is listening? That is also a very important question. Listening is not the same as hearing. Learning to listen means not only paying attention to the words being spoken, but also how they are being spoken and the non-verbal messages sent with them. It means giving your full attention to the person is speaking and genuinely concentrating on what they are saying and what they are not saying. Good listeners use the techniques of clarification and reflection to confirm what the other person has said and avoid any confusion. These techniques also demonstrate very clearly that you are listening, just like active listening. Then the next is clarifying and clarification. Because when you are listening very minutely, you need to show that you want certain clarification. In communication, clarification involves offering back to the speaker the essential meaning as understood by the listeners of what they have just said, thereby checking that the listener's understanding is correct and resolving any areas of confusion or misunderstanding. That is clarification. Clarification is important in many situations, especially when what is being communicated is difficult in some way. Communication can be difficult for many reasons. Perhaps sensitive emotions are being discussed, or you are listening to some complex information or some instructions. Certain instruction as an extension of reflecting, clarifying reassures the speaker that the listener is attempting to understand the messages they are expressing. What is reflection then? However good you think your listening skills are, the only person who can tell you if you have understood correctly or not is the speaker. Therefore, as an extension of good listening skills, you need to develop the ability to reflect words and feelings and to clarify that you have understood them correctly. It is often important that you and the speaker agree that what you understand is a true representation of what was meant to be said. As well as understanding and reflecting the verbal messages of the speaker, it is important to try to understand the emotions. Well, here I will try to explain how to use reflection effectively to help you to build greater understanding of not only what is being said, but the connect, feeling and meaning of messages. That is your word, your brain, your mind and your attitude. Reflecting is the process of paraphrasing and restating both the feelings and words of the speaker. The purposes of reflecting are, what are the purposes? To allow the speaker to hear, underquote, hear their own thoughts and to focus on what they say and feel. To show the speaker that you are trying to perceive the world as they see it, and that you are doing your best to understand their messages. To encourage them to continue talking. Reflecting does not involve you asking questions, introducing a new topic, or leading the conversation in another direction. Speakers are helped through reflecting, as it not only allows them to feel understood, but it also gives them the opportunity to focus their ideas. This in turn helps them to direct their thoughts and further encourages them to continue speaking. Well, there are some examples of non-directive clarifications, seeking questions, like, I'm not quite sure I understand what you are saying. Then, I don't feel clear about the main issue here. Then, when you said, what did you mean? When you said ... what did you mean? Next, could you repeat? So, these are all clarification, non-direct clarification. Clarifying involves non-judgmental questioning, summarizing and seeking feedback as to its accuracy. When you are the listener in a sensitive environment, the right sort of non-directive questioning can enable the speaker to describe their viewpoint more fully. Asking the right question at the right time can be crucial and comes with practice. The best questions are open-ended, as they give the speaker choice in how to respond, whereas closed questions allow only very limited responses. Now, what is open question? If your role is to assist a speaker to talk about an issue, often the most effective questioning starts with when, where, how, or why. These questions encourage speakers to be open and expand on their thought, like, when did you first start feeling like this? Or, why do you feel this way? And the closed questions usually elicit a yes or no response and do not encourage the speakers to be open and expand on their thoughts. Such questions often begin with did you or were you, like, did you always feel like this? Were you aware of feeling this way? Now, when we discuss all these things regarding the communication, it is also very important to understand non-verbal communication, because as we are saying that non-verbal communication and communication are something that gives a meaning to your word. Much of any message is communicated non-verbally. Some estimates suggest that this may be as much as 80% of communication. It is therefore important to consider and understand non-verbal communication, particularly when it is absent or reduced, such as when you are communicating in writing or by telephone. Non-verbal communication is often thought of as body language, but it actually covers far more. It includes, for example, tone and pitch of the voice, body movement, eye contact, posture, facial expression, and even physiological changes such as sweating, panting, etc. You can therefore understand other people better by paying close attention to their non-verbal communication. One can also ensure that one's message is conveyed more clearly by ensuring that one's words and body language are consistent. Well, emotional awareness and management, these two aspects are important, and I have already given on a lecture on emotional awareness or emotional intelligence while discussing interpersonal skill. So, the third understanding area of communication is awareness of our own and other people's emotions and an ability to manage those emotions. At work, it is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that everything should be logical and that emotion has no place. However, we are human and therefore messy and emotional. None of us can leave our emotions at home, and nor should we try to do so. That is not to say that we should let it all hang out. However, an awareness of emotions, both positive and negative, can definitely improve communication. This understanding of our own and others' emotion is known as emotional intelligence. There is considerable evidence that it is far from important to success in life than what we might call intellectual intelligence. Emotional intelligence covers a wide range of skills, usually divided into personal skills and social skills. The personal skills include self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation. The social skills include empathy and social skills. Each one of these is broken down into more skills. Like example, self-awareness consists of emotional awareness, accurate self-assessment, and self-confidence. Empathy is the ability to feel with others, to share their emotions and understanding them. It includes understanding others, developing them, having a service orientation, valuing and leveraging diversity and political awareness. Fundamentally, the principle behind the different skills that make up emotional intelligence is that one has to be aware of and understand one's own emotions and be able to master them in order to understand and work well with others. Next is question skills. To be a good communicator, you need to have these skills. And this is the fourth area where many people struggle and this is questioning. Questioning is a crucial skill to ensure that you have understood someone's message correctly. It is also a very good way of obtaining more information about a particular topic or simply starting a conversation and keeping it going. Those with good questioning skills are often also seen as very good listeners because they tend to spend far more time drawing information out from others than broadcasting their own opinions. Well, these four key areas of communication all share one common characteristic. They are all or mostly about receiving messages. There are, however, also important things that one can do to improve the likelihood of being able to transmit a message effectively. And these are like, you do not simply say the first thing that comes into your head. Instead, take a moment and pay close attention to what you say and how you say it. Focus on the meaning of what you want to communicate. Consider how your message might be received by the other person and tailor your communication to fit. By communicating clearly, you can help to avoid misunderstandings and potential conflict with others. You can, for example, check that they have understood by asking them to reflect or summarize what they have heard and understood. It can also be helpful to pay particular attention to differences in culture, past experiences, attitudes, and abilities when conveying your message. Avoid jargon and overcomplicated language, and explain things as simply as possible. Always avoid racist and sexist terms or any language that may cause offense. Well, there are other aspects that can affect communication, and these are like, they include the use of humor, the way that you treat people more generally, and your own attitude both to life generally and to the other person and communicating. Now, using humor, laughing releases endorphins that can help relieve stress and anxiety. Most people like to laugh and will feel drawn to somebody who can make them laugh. Don't be afraid to be funny or clever, but do ensure your humor is appropriate to the situation. Use your sense of humor to break the ice, to lower barriers, and gain the affection of others. By using appropriate humor, you will be perceived as more charismatic. Treat people equally. Always aim to communicate on an equal basis and avoid patronizing people. Do not talk about others behind their backs and try not to develop favorites. By treating people as your equal and also equal to each other, you will build trust and respect. If confidentiality is an issue, make sure its boundaries are known and ensure its maintenance. Attempt to resolve conflict. It is almost always helpful to resolve problems and conflicts as they arise rather than letting them fester. The most effective communicators are also good mediators and negotiators. They are not biased or judgmental, but instead ease the way for conflict resolution. Maintain a positive attitude and a smile. Few people want to be around someone who is miserable. Do your best to be friendly, upbeat, and positive with other people. Maintain a positive, cheerful attitude to life. When things do not go to plan, stay optimistic and learn from your mistakes. If you smile often and stay cheerful, people are more likely to respond positively to you. Similarly, if something makes you angry or upset, wait for a few hours and calm down before taking any action. This is really very important. If you do complain, do so calmly. Try to find some positive aspects to the situation and avoid giving unnecessary criticism. Minimize stress. Some communication scenarios are by their nature stressful. Stress can, however, be a major barrier to effective communication. All parties should therefore try to remain calm and focused. Well, friends, these are some of the important points that you can take care of whenever you go for the effective communication. As we discuss that effective communications focuses on certain aspects like to be a good listener, trying to know the emotion, trying to be a good pacifier and know yourself. These are the things that can be learned yourself also. So my suggestions are that open your eyes, feel the world, know the people and feel the experience. Only then you can be a good communicator. It is not only word that does matter, it is your gesture, posture and other activities that do also matter. So till this, Thank you. Goodbye. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss some other aspects of communication and the effective communication. Thank you very much.